Hi everyone, I'm Rebeca Pop. I'm here with Tom, and I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Welgemoed, or you tell me if that's not
Welcome.
okay. That's a little hard to pronounce. I need to practice a little bit more. But we are here today to tell you a little bit about ourselves and about how we work together. We do work together on courses, on boot camps here and there, and we thought that it would be nice to just share a few facts and also ask three surprise questions. And when I say surprise questions, they are really a surprise. I have no idea what Tom is going to ask me, and he has no idea what I'm going to ask him. So we are all up for a surprise here. All right, so maybe I'll start off by saying a few words about myself. Maybe Tom, if you want to say a few words about yourself, and then we can share, I don't know, how we met.
Yeah.
If that works. All right, so I'm Rebeca Pop. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I'm the founder of Vizlogue. Vizlogue is a data visualization and storytelling lab. We offer workshops, whether those are public or private, and consulting services where we help companies re-envision the way they visualize data. Whether that's hands-on, going in and sitting down with the team and helping them rethink through the way they do data visualization, or more high-level strategically how they position data visualization within the company. Beyond Vizlog, I teach data visualization. I'm an adjunct professor at Northwestern University as well as at the University of Chicago. And when I do have time, spare time, not often, but it happens once in a while, I do enjoy hiking and kayaking and biking. So that's a little bit about myself. Do you want to take it over, Tom?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tom Welgemoed. Originally South African, now living in the Netherlands, and I am the founder of Decision Crew. So Decision Crew focuses on training, but also on consultancy services. And it's a young company in the Netherlands, and we're looking to really help people make their data management a lot easier. So make it simple, but also do best of breed, work with good technologies, Alteryx and Snowflake and Power BI are some of the tech that we look at. And I've got a young family, so I've got two kids, 7 and 4, and they keep me busy most days. And then when that calms down, as a hobby, golf is something I like to do as well, and want to get a lot better at. So, but that's me in terms of outdoors activity.
All right, and shall we mention how we met?
Yeah. You.
Yeah, so I can tell you what I recall. I recall you commenting something, I think at one of my posts on LinkedIn.
Oh,
I
yes.
don't recall which one. I just recall that you wrote a comment, and then I think I emailed you.
Stream graph, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now
Yeah,
you
the
reminded,
stream graph.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I emailed you. I think I checked out your website, and then I emailed you and I said, hey, let's keep in touch. You never know. At one point, right, we might get to collaborate and to work together. And then we had what, one or two phone calls to just,
Yes.
discuss, right, what we do, our perspective on what we do. And we ended up actually having an idea of how to collaborate.
Yeah, exactly. I think I caught on to one of your visualizations. I really like it when someone can think creatively or think differently about how to represent data. Something I sometimes struggle to do, to break out of a habit in terms of how you represent information. So I think that's why that one caught my eye. And yeah, it's been really nice because I think besides the training course that we're going to do soon, I think there's opportunity to do lots of collaboration in terms of the slightly different. You're sort of focusing a lot on the visualization side, and I'm focusing a lot on the data management and the engineering side. So I think there's a nice match there.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are very much complementary, right? And one cannot really exist without the other, or maybe I guess data analysis could exist without data visualization, but data visualization couldn't really exist without the other part. So yeah, the two parts need each other.
Yeah. I think the data visualization part really brings the story to life. Because if you focus, I've seen companies that do a lot of data mashing together and just expect the business to know what to do with it. I think if you really know how to tell stories with data, that's a real superpower.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what you need to really bring action, right? Move people, move your audience from inaction to action. And that's pretty much what most of the times we are trying to do, either inform or lead to action, which is hard with just showing data per se.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Then do you want to move on to questions, to the surprise questions? All right. I wrote mine on my phone yesterday. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, I'd like you to hear yours and see how.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the first question. Let's say that I want to learn Alteryx, but I have zero experience with Alteryx. How do you think I should structure my learning process, and where should I start?
It's a really good question. I think that the way that I would, if in a perfect world, I would say that you should ideally have a data set that you know, that you're familiar with. You can, of course, use the Alteryx tutorials and walk through those, but I think when you know data and you know what outcomes you want, it's the best place to start, because you will naturally start thinking, I need this capability, or I need this capability. And I would then say, simply download the software, take that data and start learning some basic tutorials. Now, the community on Alteryx is great. There is a lot of videos for beginners that you could start with. But I taught myself, I learned myself how to use it. I never went on any courses or training. And I found that once you've seen a basic demo, and if you watch something on YouTube, an introductory kind of talk, you will get a very good idea of where the basics are. And in the tool itself, there's a favorites panel. Stick to the favorites in the beginning. They've got most of the functionality you need. And you can usually hover over one of the tools and it will tell you what it does. So I would just do those things. Begin with data you know, have an outcome in mind of what you want to achieve, and then stick to the favorites in Alteryx, and maybe a fourth would be look at community for good materials.
All right, that's great. That sounds very similar to learning data visualization. The big community, sticking to, maybe the basics at the beginning, videos available, tutorials available.
Although I must point out, I think Alteryx won an award for their community. Like they literally have an exceptional, like if you have a problem in Alteryx and you posted it on the community, I guarantee you within an hour you will have a response, and if not in minutes, because it's very competitive and everyone who wants to become an Alteryx ace is on there looking for problems to solve. So it's great in that way.
Oh, that's all right. Well, I learned something. Hopefully everyone watching learned something as well. All right, great. Thanks, Tom. So what's your first question?
My first question is, what are you learning right now in skills? You obviously have some good data visualization skills already. How do you keep it fresh, and how do you keep sort of growing that?
Yeah, I am always trying to carve out some time for learning in addition to actually doing the work, which I must say it's hard sometimes. It can be hard. But I think that if you don't, personally, I believe that if you don't stay on top of learning, you kind of fall behind, inevitably.
Yeah.
So I think learning for me comes from a few different sources. One, and maybe this sounds like an easy thing to do, but I try to stay pretty active on Twitter, and a lot of new things in data visualizations, new trends, new ideas happen on Twitter before even they maybe go mainstream or go live on a different platform. So I think that helps me keep up to date with the latest, freshest ideas. I read quite a lot, whether that's academic research or books. And then I do want to expand my tool kit. I haven't learned D3 yet, but that's next on my list to learn. I I'm being told that it's not very easy and it's not super intuitive. But yeah, that's next on my list to learn. And I'm excited to see what one can do with it. Really, it looks very, very versatile
Yeah,
when it comes to what you can do with it.
very powerful library.
Yeah.
It's something I've been quite interested. So if you make a course on that, I would think.
Yeah. First, let me learn, and then I'll make a course.
Yeah. I was quite curious because you had Figma and raw graphs that, if I'm 100% honest, I hadn't heard about before, and I think I've had a couple of responses from a couple of people who also hadn't heard about it before. So I think that's kind of nice when you see someone come with something different than the standard Power BI click Tableau ways of doing it.
Yeah, I think Tableau, sorry, just to mention something, I think Tableau, Power BI, Excel, tools that are commonly used are great. And they are great for like maybe company or team-wide adoption. But there are also some tools that are free or mostly free, like raw graphs. Flourish is another one, Everviz, Data Wrapper. There are quite a few tools that are, I would say, also used, maybe not primarily, but partially by journalists. So they are already designed with best practices in mind, which I would say many other tools are not. So then, as a maybe beginner or someone who wants to improve your data visualization skills, you can do better just by using the default options, because those default options already incorporate best practices. So from that perspective, raw graphs is great. Figma is actually a design tool. It's not a data visualization tool, but if you want to bring your data visualization to the next level in terms of visual, doing that in a tool is not really feasible. Like, you have limited options in a tool. If you bring that as an SVG file to to Figma, you can edit it differently, and you can enhance your visual much better. All right, time for question number 2. So, Tom, let's talk about data cleaning. What do you love and what do you hate about data cleaning?
Data cleaning. Well, what I love, if I start with the positive, what I love is there is a weird part of my personality that just really likes when I have a data set that I can easily see how I can improve it or make it look better and how it will be usable for reporting. I almost really love that part, almost more than I love visualizing the data, because it's just this sort of like, it feels messy and I want to tidy it up. So it's like this weird part of my personality that just wants to make it organized. So I love that part, and I love sort of seeing it and then being able to get that result. What I hate is when that process is extremely difficult. So if you get web scrape data and it's no structure to it and it's completely mangled up.
Yeah.
I once spent a weekend trying to take this data that came from a, like these, is it SEC forms that companies provide for their stocks for the annual quarterly accounts, and that was very messy data. And when you don't get to that result you want, it can be a bit of a pain. So that I hate.
That makes total sense to me. All right. What's your question number 2?
Second question is, what is the strangest thing you've ever been asked about a data visualization graph, maybe in the classes that you go to when you have to teach? Is there anything really odd that's come out, or anything funny that you've ever discovered?
This is maybe fresh in my mind, and I just recall it, but yeah, quite recently I was teaching, and I guess students were a bit thrown off by the fact that data visualization is not as maybe technical as they were expecting. They were coming out of a SQL class and they were expecting data visualization to be pretty much like SQL. I mean, you can do data visualization using code, right? For sure.
Yeah,
but in my class, I also teach, the design portion. How do you follow best practices? How you do not follow best practices when you shouldn't, and break those rules, but also from a design perspective and also from a communication perspective, from a data storytelling perspective, from the perspective of putting yourself in the shoes of your audience and truly understanding their needs and then adjusting that visualization based on that. So all that came as a surprise for one or two students. And at one point, one of them said, wait, but this is a design class. I thought it would be a data visualization class. And I said, well, the two do overlap to a certain extent. And I'm saying that this is a design class, but design and understanding best practices in terms of design, everything ranging from, font, colors, white space, positioning, alignment, all that is part of data visualization, and it matters because you're communicating information, and in order to communicate information visually, it needs to be visually not just appealing but also clear. So from that perspective, yeah, design is part of data visualization. And the student was, I don't know if disappointed or shocked or both.
I saw something recently with data engineering that I think was really similar. I think a lot of people maybe think that when they do data engineering, if they know SQL or if they know how to create tables, or there are maybe cloud engineers, that's enough. But you need to know how to model data, how to prepare it, what you have a design, as you say, behind it. So I think there is maybe this almost hidden skill that goes along with learning either the tech or with the storytelling, which is how do I, almost standing back and looking at it and knowing what you're going to try and achieve with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that goes back right to the business understanding and having a clear understanding of the process that you are following and why you should be following that process. Yeah, all that is key. And yeah, I think it's easily overlooked.
I agree. And it's a rare, sometimes a rare skill as well to have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. All right. It's my turn, right? It's my turn. All right, question number 3. And I think this is a perfect segue into question number 3. So we were talking about processes, right? And understanding the business and being able to see the big picture and taking a step back. So from that perspective, how important do you think is for a person learning data analysis or data analytics to learn how to think about it and how to approach it versus to learn specific tools and to expand on the list of tools that the person knows how to use?
It is a perfect segue into the question, actually. I think it's pivotal. I think that how you approach, for me, it's without a clear strategy about what you're trying to do. If it's a simple project, maybe that's fine, and you might be able to get away with it. But I think in the modern workplace, if you're going to work at bigger enterprises, or you're going to come across more complex data sets, even simple things like the COVID data set, and I say relatively simple, you do need to know what you're going to do with it, and you do need to understand how to think through it. And an example that comes to mind is a project that I am still partly working on, where the project is effectively blocked because the engineers on the project don't know how to architect, and they need effectively an experienced person to come explain to them not what to do, but how to do it. So they need that guidance. And I think for anyone who wants to learn data engineering, data visualization, whatever it is, they need to know how to do that design part we talked about, how to think it through. And even if you successfully manage to put pen to paper and get something that people are relatively happy with, I think you will be way more ineffective if you don't learn how to really get the most out of your information. And a really nice, if I give you one more example, a really nice example was I worked at a big bank in the UK once, and they had mobile download data And it was relatively simple data. It was statistics, and we can draw a trend on it. But one of the analysts in the bank added the potential for growth as a separate line to that same graph. And he took another benchmark as that wasn't part of the data set. He went to discover another benchmark to say, maybe if we use that benchmark and we laid it over the graph, we could see not what we're getting, but what we should be getting. And that just changed the perspective on the same visual. And I thought that was quite insightful. He went to think about, how do I not just plot the data I have, but how do I think about what's missing in this, and how can I make this richer?
Yeah,
And that is a skill that I think is very difficult to learn, and it's great to have.
that's true. I 100% agree. All right, the last question from you.
Yeah, not a crazy question, but maybe also a good segue is, I want to know what you think is important for anyone who wants to succeed in this field, in data analytics, visualization. What do you think is important for them to start with or to know about for what is coming in the future? Because there's so many trends, you know, AI, data scientists, a lot of people wanted to be data science, now it's data engineering, it gets a little bit more hot. What would you say is now important for people to learn about?
Yeah, so I would say that like I can talk from my own experience, but also I have seen, you know, my students trying to learn. There are pretty regularly people who reach out to me on LinkedIn, for example, asking me, you know, how can I start learning data visualization? They are just trying to figure out the first steps. And I will say, I guess, pick your battles, because if you want to do everything, you are going to very quickly be overwhelmed, and you're likely to give up if you're overwhelmed. It's just, you know, psychology. That's how most people operate, right? So I would think, I would say, I would recommend, try to think very, very carefully. You know, as we were talking about, thinking very carefully and planning your analysis or your data visualization process. I think it's the same with your learning process. Just really take a step back and think about what your goals are, right? Why are you even trying to learn data analysis or data visualization? Do you want to get a new job? Do you feel like you can't advance in your career because you're lacking certain skills? Or do you want maybe to pivot into a new, totally different career path? You know, maybe you're a math teacher and you want to get into data analysis. So just think about what you want to do, and then think about what skills you would need to do that. Right? If you want to get into data science, you would need a different set of skills compared to, I don't know, marketing science, for example, or just they may be more focused on data visualization, right? If you do data visualization specifically, or if you want to learn data visualization specifically, there are also many types of jobs that you could get within data visualization. And I would say the field is evolving at a very fast pace. And I'm seeing a wider and wider variety of jobs. So you could be a data visualization engineer, right, where you code applications to build visualizations. Clearly, you need more technical skills for that, but not just technical skills, I should point it out. Or maybe you want to be a data visualization designer. Well, in that case, you should focus more on, you know, learning about UX, about design, maybe also take a few classes in design. Maybe you want to be a Tableau specialist. There are plenty of companies that are looking for that. Well, then clearly you need a Tableau certification. Maybe you want to start, you know, posting more Tableau work online. You want to have a profile on Tableau Public, right? Post your visualizations there, gain a bit of experience and visibility in that area.
Do you think if it were you, do you think you would specialize very narrow, or would you go a little bit more broad and skim a few topics?
Yeah, it depends. I would say if your goal is to get maybe a job within the next 3-4 months, there are plenty of jobs that require Tableau expertise. and that are like highly focused on that. So that's like the main part of the job. You just need to know how to get there and create a dashboard. And if that's your goal, then, you know, learning Tableau and excelling at that can land you that next job. If your goal is maybe, I don't know, long term to become an expert in data visualization, I would say that's not enough. You need to go broader. I wouldn't go too broad because then you don't have a voice, but not too narrow because then maybe you're too specialized.
Got it. Right.
Yeah, so I think that was 3 questions each, right?
Yeah, very good.
All right, well, that's about it then. Anything else that you want to cover or you want to add, Tom?
No, I think that was great. I'd liked hearing what you think about it. I think I could ask you 10 more questions, but not everyone has time for that. So, but thank you for those.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. Thank you, Tom. And I hope that everyone watching enjoyed this, learned a little bit. And if you have questions, you know, just send a note to Tom and I'll make sure to include our email addresses in the notes, and we'll keep in touch, right?
Perfect.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye, Tom.
Bye, Becca.